Hello everyone, welcome to my spoiler talk for Jessica Jones Season 1, and my goodness, I had forgotten how good this first episode is. It really, hooks you into it. So, it starts off with Jessica Jones taking pictures of a cheater, and obviously, you would assume the cheater is the man, but surprise, surprise, it's the woman that's the cheater. Yeah. Didn't expect that one. Because the dude afterwards she's cheating with my brother. It's like, oh, so she was the cheater. Okay. And we also learned that Jessica Jones is a PI, private investigator. However, she can't sleep at night, so she goes to spy on someone, which would later be known as Luke Cage. And she also, throughout this episode, has purple nightmares. At one point, he licks her, and it's like, whoa, what the, why? I mean, why? But she's spying on Luke Cage for reasons that will be revealed later. So the next day, there's some arguing happening upstairs. So Jessica Jones grabs her shoe and throws it to the roof. And they're like, okay, fine. And Malcolm, a neighbor, broke into her house. I like the story that he has throughout the season as well. But we need to go back a bit because I skipped this accidentally. Jessica Jones went to Hogarth for a case. Now, Hogarth is a horrible person. Absolutely horrible person. And she got a case by just delivering some papers to a guy who doesn't want to get served. But she ain't no good person, okay? She's such a bad person throughout all of this. And apparently, she's a lesbian, which has nothing to do with that. However, she is also cheating. Which, yeah, okay, back to the horrible person, I guess. Anyway, back to what I was saying before. The Slotmans have a job for Jessica Jones to find their daughter, Hope. So Jessica Jones goes to the apartment where Hope used to live. And apparently the roommate has a new roommate, so that's great. Turn off that camera, I'll break it. And he doesn't turn off the camera. She's like, nope. And she finds something and then leaves. She goes to the lawsuit guy and lifts up his car. And she's like, hey, look, you're either gonna accept this or I'm gonna burn a hole through you with my laser eyes. Laser eyes. So he accepts it. So yeah, there you go. The Hogarth stuff is done now. And afterwards, she goes to the bar and she's looking into the bar. And then Luke Cage comes out and is like, you can also just come inside. It's ladies' night for a hot girl like you. But it's nice to see Luke Cage in this show. He will be appearing throughout the show, which is nice before he gets his own show. It's a little tie-in, I guess. Little tease of what's to come. But she goes inside. She basically tells him she's a PI. And afterwards, she breaks a bet with him. So that's great. However, after they break the bet, she goes into the bathroom and sees a picture of a woman and then decides to vacate the premises as fast as possible. This will come into play later. And no, Luke Cage is not cheating. So she goes home. Next day, Hope's mom calls and Jessica Jones has the credit card number, so she kind of checks to see what has been purchased. And she asks the mom about it. And the mom's like, oh no, that's only for emergency. She doesn't make purchases with that card. However, apparently she did. So Jessica Jones goes to the place and it's like, oh, it's a lingerie store. And then afterwards, she goes to a restaurant, which she has flashbacks of. And she asks, hey, didn't this used to be that restaurant? And the dude's like, yeah. And she then starts to have an absolute meltdown. Because apparently this is the YouTube-friendly way of saying things. At least in the year of 2024, this is the YouTube-friendly way of saying this. But Jessica Jones had some trouble with some grapes, if you get my drift. And I love the way that the show handles it, while not stating it yet. That will come later. But she's just like, he's back. And she's like in fear. And it's like, I love the way that the show portrays it. But anyway, Jessica then goes to cancel the case because she's done. She wants to run away. She has no money. Hope has no money. She tries to call Hogarth to get money. And Hogarth is like, no. And then afterwards, Jessica visits Trish Walker and asks for money. And then she's like, he's back. And she's like, no, he's not. Are you having a paranoia again? Do you need to go back to the therapist? Like, no, he's back because he's doing all the stuff that he did with me on our 1 month anniversary, with her on her 1 month anniversary. All right, she's back. Fear in her eyes. This woman can lift a car, but is terribly afraid. However, while she's investigating stuff, we also kind of find out that these people are doing things they don't want to do, but they do it because they're being told to do it. So maybe that's where the fear comes from. We'll find more out about this later. So Trish tries to convince Jessica to help Hope because she's the only one who can, which she actually is. However, Jessica doesn't know it yet. However, Jessica says no, so eventually Trish gives her money and she leaves. However, then Jessica's like, alright, I gotta. So she goes to the hotel, sets off the fire alarm. By the way, the guy at the front of the hotel knew her. He's like, oh, hey, Miss Jessica, how are you doing? Will you be staying with us again? But she sets off the fire alarm. The rooms get evacuated, except for the one. So she goes to the back of that room, opens up the room, and yeah, that's where Hope is, lying on a bed. However, Hope was told not to leave the bed. And when this man tells you to do something, you do it. So she does not leave the bed. She has been lying there for about 5 hours. Because Jessica's like, how long ago did he leave? 5 hours ago. And like 21 minutes, I think. So Jessica's like, alright, let's grab your stuff and let's leave. She's like, no, I don't want to leave. However, by the end of it, Jessica Jones accidentally hits Hope's head against the wall. And that just knocks her out. It's like, well, that ended it. That shut her up. That's good. Fantastic. Now you can take her. She calls the parents. She's like, I got your daughter. Alright, meet me at my place. So they go back to her place. She tells Hope that it wasn't your fault. And afterwards, Hope goes with her parents and kills them. She kills her parents, which is also something that she was supposed to do. Jessica wants to leave at this point, but then has this realization that, no, I have to fight Kilgrave, which is his name. And that's the end of episode 1. What an intro to the show. So, on to episode 2, where we start off with Jessica Jones being interrogated about the fact that Hope killed her parents. And also, she has some pictures of Luke Cage, which, well, that will lead to trouble later on. But Jessica Jones eventually is like, look, you have nothing on me, I'll leave. So she goes away, visits Luke Cage, and turns out, yeah, cops were there as well. So she basically makes up a lie, which is also kind of the truth, but not really. And she's like, yeah, I was there because the husband of the woman that you have fun times with is, yeah, she's married. But the husband doesn't know about that. So that's fun. Meanwhile, Jessica Jones goes over to Hope in order to ask her questions about it. Meanwhile, Jessica Jones goes over to Hope in order to ask her about Kilgrave. Because of the fact that he's technically supposed to be dead. So how is he alive? Doesn't really give any answers. And afterwards, Jessica Jones asks Hogarth to be the attorney for Hope. And Hogarth is like, no. And then Jessica's like, I'll bring you proof. And Hogarth is like, no. And then Jessica's like, I'll owe you one. And Hogarth is like, alright. Maybe Jessica should have let them with that. Would have been the smarter idea. And apparently Hogarth's wife knows of the cheating that is happening. So that's fun. This show is just full of garbage, ain't it? Then Trish finds Jessica, tries to talk with her, tries to offer her to join her. Jessica's like, no. And Luke Cage tells the woman about the fact that the husband hired a PI, which the woman's like, yeah, but he doesn't know. Well, no, he actually doesn't know. It's just funny. He actually doesn't know. But now she's gonna go over there to him and tell him, oh, you hired a PI because I was cheating on you? You were cheating on me? Yeah, that's so that whole thing's gonna happen. Once again, the upstairs neighbors are making noise, so Jessica Jones goes upstairs in order to stop them from yelling. And we learn that Kilgrave got hit by a bus after Jessica Jones got free. However, there's a detail in here that you may not notice on your first watch, but Kilgrave keeps telling her, Jessica, come back here, and Jessica doesn't listen. Yeah, Jessica's immune. We learned that way later on, but I just thought to the eagle-eyed viewers, you will understand that she is immune from this scene right here. So Jessica Jones infiltrates the hospital and tries to find answers, which doesn't really go well, goes back home, and attacks the guy who's trying to fix her door. So an ambulance shows up and takes the guy away. And then Jessica Jones looks at the number on the ambulance and then goes to the guy and then looks up who has the number from the bus. But she visits the guy who drove that bus, and turns out he is attached to a machine because he donated both of his kidneys to, well, Kilgrave. And the dude just wants to die. Simple. So Jessica eventually goes home, and the cheater goes to Jessica's house and tells her about the fact, like, my husband didn't hire you. No, he didn't. So you're trying to take out the competition. Well, my husband knows now, and he's gonna kill Luke because my husband is a strong guy. So Jessica goes over to Luke in order to save him. However, turns out they both have powers. Great. Now they both know. This will come back at the end of the episode. Afterwards, Jessica Jones visits Dr. Kurata, who was apparently the doctor who fixed Kilgrave. And also, she learns that Kilgrave made him give the machine, and the fact that Kilgrave was awake during the operation for the kidney transplant, because apparently the doctor was like, look, you can survive with 1 kidney, but Kilgrave wanted to be made whole. But Kilgrave apparently does have a weakness, because it doesn't matter whether he's awake or asleep. His powers work no matter how you look at it. However, when drugs get involved in order to, basically numb the pain, it also kind of takes away his powers. So that's not really a good thing. But Jessica Jones now has a weakness. We can take him out. And she also has the doctor talk to Hogarth, at which point Hogarth believes and represents hope. And Jessica Jones gets a new window, and she lets Trish into her, space, in that sense. As in, she's gonna get drinks with her. But before, she tried to shut Trish out. And we have the official reveal for Kilgrave. Yes, this time, we do not have to wait until episode 3. Because he goes into an apartment, he's like, you will, let me be your guest indefinitely. Also, kids should not be seen nor heard. Go into that closet. But I have to go to the bathroom. It'll be okay. Go. And then has dinner. Meanwhile, Luke Cage is at Jessica Jones' apartment, and he saws himself, which doesn't really work because he's indestructible. And yeah, that's basically how the episode ends. Another great episode. So, in episode 3, Jessica and Luke talk a bit about the powers and stuff like that. They do a little bit of a reference to the Hulk and also the friends of the Hulk. But since both of these two have super strength, Hulk seems like the best comparison. And Luke asks if Jessica can fly, and she says no. She can just jump really high. However, she can fly in the comics. And also in this episode, we learned that Jessica Jones, on orders from Kilgrave, killed Luke Cage's wife. So that's why she's been stalking him, but this is the official reveal. And Hogarth has learned that Jessica was a victim of Kilgrave from Hope, and wants Jessica to tell the story, but Jessica says no. Then she calls Trish for help, and that doesn't really work out all that well. Trish will not help by spreading conspiracy theories, but she will help in a different way. And now Jessica needs to figure out how to steal the drugs, because Hogarth's wife will not help, and she can't just go in there. She needs a distraction. Also, Malcolm gets attacked by a planet-saving cyclist. Man, I like riding a bike, okay? But this guy makes it just not fun at all. Like, these cyclists are all about saving the planet. Next thing you're gonna tell me is that this prick is also vegan. And then, but then we got the whole trifecta. But Trish is gonna have Hope on the show to tell her story. So at least that's a way that Trish will help. She will not help spreading a conspiracy about a guy who can mind control, but she will let Hope tell her story on her show. And then Jessica Jones is once again with Luke Cage, because the only thing he does so far in this show is just break beds. And she wants to tell him about Kilgrave and the mind control stuff, and he doesn't believe it. And she makes a very good point that I want to 100% agree with, and that's like, says the guy with unbreakable skin. He's like, mind control, that's not real. Dude, you cannot be pierced by nothing. And while Hope is on the show, Trish eventually starts to threaten Kilgrave. And then he calls, and Hope has a freak out. All Hope has to say is, that's him. But she doesn't. She just starts to yell. Instead of saying, that's him, she just starts to yell. If she just said, that's him, that would have been it. So now Jessica needs to protect her, so he takes her away. And also a fan comes up at the worst moment and gets attacked by Trish, so that's fun. But she basically Jessica brings Trish home and tells, lock everything, don't let anyone except me in, okay? Maybe not even me. And then she leaves. And she once again finds a drugged out Malcolm. And she takes him to the hospital and throws him into a couple of things as the distraction that I was referring to earlier. And she finally steals the stuff that she needs in order to control Kilgrave. While this is happening, there's an officer who needs to take a statement from Trish called Simpson, but she won't let him in. So eventually she does, and then he attacks her because he's being controlled by Kilgrave. He has to kill her. So Jessica comes in, saves her, because obviously a woman without super strength cannot beat a man who has had similar training. Look, I'm the kind of guy that any woman will just, if she sneezes, I'll blow away. That's it. Done. In the wind. Leaf in the wind. Gone. But this is a cop, and no matter how much training you do, you have a chance, but that doesn't mean you will always succeed. So Jessica comes in and just hits him away, and he's like, I have to kill her, and then I have to meet him. So Jessica uses some of the drugs that she stole in order to knock out Trish. so that it looks like that she's dead. And then she puts her phone in Simpson's jacket and follows him, but also listens in on everything. So eventually they make it to Kilgrave. Jessica Jones actually sees him. She's ready to attack him. However, Kilgrave tells Simpson to leave. And then when Simpson wants to leave, he's like, not that way, over the balcony, come on. So he wants to, jump. And Jessica cannot let that happen, because no matter how horrible Kilgrave is, Jessica is a good person. So she stops Simpson and then has a flashback sequence. And it would be funny if when that flashback sequence happened, he just jumped off anyway. It took so long, he had time to get up and jump off the building while she had flashback moments. But eventually, she knocks him out and goes after Kilgrave. But the rest of the people in that building start to attack her as well. So that's fun. But Kilgrave escapes, so Jessica Jones goes in to investigate, and what she finds is a room full of pictures of herself, meaning someone has been taking pictures of her, which means she kind of needs to end everything. So she goes over to Luke Cage and breaks up with him, and then she has one of the pictures, and she looks, and that's where she was when she took pictures of Luke Cage. So now someone was also taking pictures of her, and we'll find that out soon enough. So in episode 4, we are gonna find out who took the pictures of Jessica. And also, Jessica gets a new client in this episode. So that's fun. And I will say I actually do like that plot line of that episode. So in this episode, Simpson comes back and learns the truth about what happened. The fact that Trish is alive. And also, the fact that Kilgrave is very much real. And he wants to help, and Jessica tells him to back off. And also that something else needs to be done as well. So Trish apologizes to Kilgrave. Because, if she doesn't, she's dead. So, the woman who becomes the new client of Jessica Jones wants Jessica to take pictures of her husband in action, because her husband is a cheating scumbag. And Jessica first is a bit apprehensive. It's like, alright, who referred you to me? Because the last time people were referred to her, they kind of ended up dead in an elevator. So, but this time it looked to be fine. And Jessica follows the wife and learns that the wife basically has a shooting range. Kind of. She has an abandoned building. Also, I like how you see a bunch of trash bags in this episode. Because it's like, that is the true state of New York. Not what the movies have made it out to be. This is basically the true state of New York. But the woman has her own. By the way, that was recorded. Like, this was filmed in what? 2014 or something like that? Maybe 2015. I don't know. It's about 10 years later. There still hasn't been a change in New York. Why? Disgusting city. Absolutely disgusting. But also, the wife puts on loud music and then starts shooting. I feel like the shot would still rain over the loud music, and even then, wouldn't people bring out a noise complaint? But Jessica basically figures out that the wife is innocent from Kilgrave. No connection. And Jessica asked Simpson for camera footage because he wants to help. Because of the fact that she's been followed. And that, like I said, big reveal this episode. And Hogarth has a bunch of people right now at her office who were controlled by Kilgrave. So Hogarth and Jessica Jones basically go through them all. However, Jessica is the only one who knows which one's telling the truth. I mean, it's like, look, madam, your daughter, she is but a hoe. Also, you people are Also, you people are insane. And you are telling the truth. That's basically how this gets. I mean, there's like a girl who's like, oh, he made me pregnant. And it's like, no, he didn't. That's not even close to what Kilgrave is after. But the moment that someone mentions British, that one's correct. So they bring together the people who are speaking the truth and have them basically talk it out. Also, Simpson brings the footage to Jessica and wants to help her go through it. However, then he attacks Malcolm, which, funny enough, he is actually correct to attack Malcolm. But he just doesn't know it yet. So Jessica kind of goes through the footage but can't really find anything. And then the next day we have a little girl who talks to Jessica because she's being controlled by Kilgrave. So that's fun. Calls Jessica a horrible monster. And why didn't you save me when the bus attacked me? That kind of stuff. And Simpson goes back to Trish and gives her a gun and eventually gets invited in. Now then, back to the couple. So Jessica does the job for the couple. However, something kind of feels iffy when she's in that building. So she kind of waits a bit because things aren't really progressing the way that they normally would. A cheating husband normally has a bit of different reactions. So the woman calls Jessica. Jessica picks up and then kind of leaves the phone, and she can hear the woman talk inside as well. And it's like, where are you? I'm right here. All right. And it turns out that the wife's mother was killed during the Avengers. So before Captain America Civil War ever got to the whole repercussions for the fact that the Avengers did things, this show was already on the list to do that kind of stuff. And I really like that. This one episode deals with more troubles from like the live action movies than anything post-snap has ever done. And it's kind of weird, if I'm being honest here. This is why these shows were good. We got to see street level, real people. It's why I love Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Daredevil and Jessica Jones and all the other stuff. It deals with the street level stuff. Marvel always goes big so the shows can go small. And now they have Disney Plus shows that go big. So, yeah. But Jessica Jones then has a meltdown, basically. It was basically a breakdown. My mom died in a car accident, and you don't see me attacking every car driver that exists. And then she's like, oh, I have 99 friends, which is from the episode title. And we're gonna find you unless you disappear. And as she walks away, however, I do have to make note of one small little detail here. We have an extra cast member that nobody spoke about. Because when she's walking away, you can see a dude standing there with the biggest camera on the planet. A cameraman he's on the show, dude. I saw him standing there with his big camera. And I saw him always standing there with a big camera. It's like, what? Come on, dude. Really? I know he's all blacked out and stuff like that, but still, come on, dude. He's standing right there, and he's the biggest camera on the planet. Why didn't you just shoot those things, like, separate from each other and got the cameraman out of there? I couldn't stop laughing after that happened. This cameraman just standing there. Anyway, afterwards, she goes over to the diner and then hears the people talk. And one dude abandoned his child because Kilgrave made him do it. Kind of. This one was more of his own fault. Because Kilgrave is like, you want to leave your child, don't you? And the dude is like, yeah. However, you need to understand, Kilgrave can't make you answer a question in the way that he wants to. If he asks you a question, you can just answer. He makes you do things by stating them. You will drive me around. Yes, I will. Not like, would you like to drive me around? Because then you can say no. So the dude actually wanted to leave his kid there. And then Kilgrave kind of made him do it. But still, he wanted that. But because of the fact that the dude for like weeks or so drove Kilgrave around, Jessica's like, alright, to where? And also, did he ever meet anyone? And just like, yeah. And then eventually we end up with a blue and white scarf. So she goes home, she looks at the footage, and who does it? But it's Malcolm, baby, the drug addict himself. He is the one who has been taking these pictures of Jessica Jones. So episode 5 starts off 18 months ago when Jessica Jones had an office job. And, well, she got herself fired with a 6-month severance package because of the fact that she digged up dirt about her boss. And then afterwards, Trish and her go to get a drink somewhere. And there's a guy who hits on Trish. So Jessica is like, instead of the love thing, how about we try the punching machine? If I win, you pay our drinks. If you win, I'll play with your little soldier. So obviously he agrees because, I mean, look at Jessica. She's pretty attractive. So I would say no. So Jessica obviously wins because, you know, she has super strength. It was all like, that wasn't even a question to us about who was going to win that one. And then later on in the past, she saved a little girl and then thinks about becoming a superhero. So Trish has an outfit for her and a name, and the outfit is actually from the comics and the name as well, Jewel. Which sounds like a Lady of the Night type of name. Meanwhile, present day, we follow Malcolm as he meets with Kilgrave a couple of times. And apparently Simpson and Trish are a thing now, so that's interesting to know. Didn't ask, but sure. And Jessica has a plan in order to take out Kilgrave, and Simpson joins in on that plan. And Simpson apparently has a special cage where we can put Kilgrave in there, so everything can work out perfectly. Meanwhile, Jessica gets a call from Hope and goes to jail to visit her and gives her money. And at the nighttime, she gets beaten up. But I will spoil this already before we even talk about the next episode. The thing is that Hope's pregnant with Craig Kilgrave's child, and she wants that not to be the case. So Jessica follows Malcolm, and they kidnap Kilgrave. It almost goes wrong because Kilgrave is looking right at Simpson, so this is not good. So Jessica's like, hey! And then, you know, he looks at Jessica, and then gets shot, and there you go. We've kidnapped him. However, he hired a bunch of people in order to be able to protect him, so he gets taken away again. So we lost him. All for nothing. However, we do have one of those guys. At this point, Simpson starts to show some cracks inside of him. Not that he's a bad person or anything, but to anyone who watched the 100% official shows, aka the Disney Plus stuff, it's kind of like John Walker from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where it's like he's kind of starting to lose himself a bit. He's a good guy, it's just he ain't all there. But they don't really get anything out of the guy. Afterwards, Malcolm needs drugs, and his drug dealer is like, no. And he's like, you can have the TV or the printer, and she's like, no. And then Jessica comes in, and then helps him get off the drugs. And we learned that Jessica Jones, right before being controlled by Kilgrave, the last person she saved was Malcolm. She didn't know that, because right as she saved him and wanted to help him up, Kilgrave appeared. And she got taken over by Kilgrave at that point. So he's trying to get off the drugs, and Jessica gets a call from Kilgrave. And it's like, you need me alive, it seems. Alright, tell me why. No? Okay. I could just come to your house and make me tell you, but you know what? I'll let the junkie go. If you send me a picture every day instead. So Jessica initially hangs up and doesn't want to say yes. Then she goes over to Malcolm. She sees that Malcolm is ready to quit the drugs. And then she sends a picture. So episode 6 starts off with Kilgrave playing a card game and winning by having the worst hand possible, but you know, powers sometimes let you win in other ways. And Jessica Jones questions Malcolm, but she doesn't really get much info, if any. Luke then appears, and Malcolm is getting all defensive, and he basically wants to hire Jessica in order to find a friend's brother. And Jessica still has no dirt on the ex from Hogarth, which I forgot to talk about was something that she was supposed to get. That happened when I was typing up a note, so I kind of missed that one. And we learn why Hope was getting beat, and that is because of the fact that she wanted it to, because she is pregnant. So they basically give her a bye-bye baby pill, I guess. I don't know, I'm trying to be friendly for the whole thing because of the fact if I say the real word, since it's a hot button topic, I might not really want to say the real word. And after that, Jessica searches for Antoine and finds Luke Cage. And then they search the apartment, they find nothing. Then they go outside and a couple of loan sharks come in. And apparently these were the people that got Luke's clothes dirty from the beginning of the episode when his clothes were dirty. Because I was gonna say beat him up, but it's Luke Cage, so he can't. But they basically make a deal and leave. Then Malcolm later on tells Luke about Kilgrave. And Luke comes to Jessica's apartment and is like, I know about Kilgrave. And she still does not want to say that she punched his wife to death. But now that he knows about Kilgrave, it would be the perfect opportunity to just say it, right? Am I wrong here? Like, this is the perfect moment. You're not gonna get a better moment than this to say, yeah, you even have a fallback if he's gonna accuse you for why didn't you say it earlier. It's because you would have never believed me. But now that you do believe, let me talk about the fact that, you know, you can even start it off playing like the victim, which you are, obviously, but playing the victim in that sense. Tell him the backstory first, and then after you tell everything that basically happened, you tell him that you punched his wife to death. Could have been a perfect opportunity. I mean, he'd be mad at you, but I don't think he would throw like a building at your face. I think he would understand as well because he now believes it. But no, we gotta wait until the end of the episode when it's an even worse time to tell the truth. And we learned that Kilgrave wanted Luke's wife because she had something that Kilgrave wanted. And Luke is helping the girl not because she's a friend, not because he knows her, but because of the fact that she has something that he wants, some evidence that he needs from that night when his wife died. Meanwhile, Kilgrave buys a house, legitimately this time. He's about to make him, but it's like, nope, doing this legally, alright? Here's 1.26 million. I'm giving this to you if you give me your house. It's all perfectly legal. You can have your fine lawyers take a look at the thing. However, you need to be out of here by 2 days. And he agrees. However, because of Jessica's Xbox scheme that she used, they find out where Antoine is, and they go in there to rescue him. Now, Luke Cage takes care of a couple of dogs, first of all, and he does not hurt dogs, so mad respect to Luke Cage. And Jessica Jones beats up one guy, grabs Antoine, wants to leave, because she needs to get to that evidence before Luke does. However, they then have a fight with the loan shark because Jessica Jones does not honor their deal. Luke Cage comes in, joins in on the fight, and then Jessica leaves Luke Cage there alone and brings Antoine home. The problem is, she's walking. He's got a bike. So she gets him home, wants the evidence. The sister's like, no, I made a deal with Luke Cage. I didn't make a deal with you. And then Luke Cage appears, learns the evidence, and the evidence, which kind of looks a bit suspicious for Jessica, turns out it was just the name of the bus driver. And Jessica's like, okay, everything's fine, right? We're all okay. We're okay. Okay, good. And then that sister's like, they covered up the drunk driving thing, so he still drives to this day. And he's gonna kill him. So Jessica Jones goes over there to stop him, and then she thinks it's a smart idea to tell the dude the truth. By the way, I killed your wife. It's like, the other time would have been a much better time. That would have been such a better time, but no, you waited until the worst possible moment. So Luke Cage correctly questions Jessica and is like, so if I never wanted to kill this man, would you have ever told me? And her silence basically means no. So Luke is done with Jessica forever, and he finds her very much disgusting. Among other words that I'm not allowed to say. And to end this episode off, we learned that the reason that Kilgrave wanted to buy that house for 1.26 million, even though it's worth half that, is because of the fact that that is Jessica Jones's old house, where she grew up in, so that's nice. So in episode 7, Kilgrave is in Jessica's home. He's leaving her a present. Then Ruben comes by with some banana bread because he's in love with her. Meanwhile, Jessica gets thrown out of a bar and she finds Wendy and tries to force her to sign the divorce papers by basically dropping her in front of a train. But that was a mistake. So she jumps down there and saves her. But that doesn't get her to sign the divorce papers. That just allows her to be more thorough by searching for dirt on Hogarth. Malcolm finds Jessica in the elevator and takes her back to her apartment, where they both find out that Ruben is dead in her bed. She jumps into bed and dead Ruben is right next to her. So yeah, that's a fun one. Done by Kilgrave, obviously. He didn't want to have any competition. Jessica then decides she wants to be put in a Supermax prison, and Trish found out who is part of Kilgrave's security detail, and basically for the next couple of episodes we're gonna have Simpson just sitting in a car outside of the house waiting. But before Jessica can be put in Supermax, she goes around kind of trying to finish up loose ends, as she says. So she goes to Trish's mom and makes sure that the agreement stays, that she stays away from her daughter because of reasons that we'll find out later. Also, she goes to Luke, but Luke is gone. Meanwhile, while she is doing that, Malcolm shows Trish the dead body and then gets a gun pulled on him. It's like, it wasn't me, okay? And then Jessica climbs to the top of a bridge to think, or just to stare. I don't know which one. Malcolm then cleans everything up, takes the body to the river and dumps it in the river. Jessica goes home and has a talk with Trish about everything. And Trish kind of confesses, like, yeah, we've been following Kilgrave. She's like, stop, pull Simpson back. Done with it. I'm just going into Supermax. Where's the body? Trish tells. Jessica goes there, rips off the head with her bare hands, goes to the cops, delivers the head, while also Ruben's sister is suspicious of Jessica and her brother. So I mean, that's the thing that will happen throughout this season, but I'll talk more about her later on, because she has a more important role later on. So Jessica takes the head to the police station, where we get a Brad cameo. Nice to see you again, my friend, from Daredevil. And she's basically like, look, put me in Supermax. I tore off someone's head with my bare hand. Clemens is like, yeah, that takes a lot of strength, so she breaks her cuffs and then folds up a chair. However, Brett then comes in and is like, yeah, you're free to go. So Jessica's mad at Hogarth. However, then every cop is having a gun pointed at them, and Clemens has also a gun pointed at him, and that gun is from Brett, so great. Kilgrave is here. So Kilgrave basically professes eternal love to Jessica Jones. Yes, in case you didn't know, this season, everything that has happened so far, the fact that Hope had some allergic reaction to grapes and is pregnant because of the grapes, and shot her parents in the elevator, and the dead body of Ruben was all a profession of eternal love. But Kilgrave doesn't want to control Jessica Jones, because he can't. Instead, He's like, I want you to come and live with me and be mine, basically, because I love you, okay? We are made for each other, woman. And then he also is upset about a cell phone, and he's upset about the fact that she didn't even find the present. Which is funny, because she almost tripped over that at the beginning of the episode. So, Kilgrave is like, alright, in 30 seconds, you guys are gonna think this is all a big joke. And also, which is kind of funny, because he says it in a general sense, but Jessica Jones doesn't laugh. Another hint at the fact that he doesn't have control over her, which I love that about this season. It gives you hints, and unless you see the ending, you don't know the hints. Like, the hints you get on a second viewing, and I love that, where she's just like, you all think this is some insane joke, and then he walks away, and it's like, then every cop starts to laugh, but she doesn't laugh. I like that. Anyway, Jessica Jones heads home. She finds the present, which was in the locked box that she had to dig up earlier in the flashback. And in there is a journal, and he's like, I'll see you home. So Jessica Jones packs her bags and goes to her old house where she grew up in. And that's basically how the episode ends, while Simpson is also watching the house. So we start off episode 8 with a flashback of the family, and then in present day, Jessica is home, finally. And it looks exactly like her childhood home, which is impressive and creepy as can be, but impressive too. Looking at the fact that if you want something from the past, it is very difficult to find. So the fact that he was able to recreate the home perfectly is just something else. However, Jessica Jones does get searched, and and her phone was recording because she wants a confession of the murders that he did. Or, well, had other people do. And he says that he's not delusional, he's just optimistic. However, I would like to say that I kind of see those two as the same. And we have a staff of people who help us too. However, they're not slaves because they get paid double than what they got paid before. So Jessica goes up to her room. No one is allowed in her brother's room, but she goes up to her room and there's a present. A purple dress, which she rips up into pieces. Purple's not her color. And I do like all the purple stuff because in the comic books he's called Purple Man, so. And then she goes downstairs eventually and has dinner with Kilgrave. At which point Kilgrave is like, maybe you should hold off on the alcohol. And she's like, this is all because of you, alright? I became an alcoholic because of you, because of what you put me through. Which I like that they actually go into that. But like, I love how this show does not try to point everyone as the bad guy. It's Kilgrave who is a bad guy. And it shows the aftermath of what can happen to... Because some people, some women, can get over the fact that they had an allergic reaction to grapes. But a lot of women can't. And they either go and become alcoholics, or, you know, they unalive themselves is what it's called. And I like how this show really shows that. So, Jessica goes upstairs because she's done drinking and she wants to go to sleep. And Simpson then appears and is like, I have to get you out of here because there's a bomb in the basement. And I'll blow it when the innocent people are outside of the house. Don't you worry about that one. And Jessica's like, no, we can't do that because of the fact that I need him for the confession in order to get Hope out of prison. So when Kilgrave gets a little bit suspicious about potentially Jessica stalking someone, Jessica opens the door and is like, there's a bomb in the basement. Get Hank. So Hank gets rid of the bomb. Everything is safe. Meanwhile, with the lesbian divorcees, I guess, we have Wendy, who apparently wants 70% because of the fact that Jessica Jones threatened her. And I do feel bad for her, and I think that, you know, to be honest, Hogarth is just such a horrible person. What the new girl sees in her, I'll never know, okay? I'll never know, because she is hot, and she can do so much better than the old hag called Hogarth. Like, why? So the next day, Jessica Jones comes downstairs, and outside, they have a little bit of a dinner outside. She grabs some food this time around and actually eats it. And then we have a little reveal about the fact that Kilgrave hates his family, which will be explored more later. Because we are interrupted by a nosy neighbor who is just, you know, lying. I don't know if everything she says is lying, but she says like, oh yeah, Jessica's parents were always arguing, and Jessica's like, that ain't true. And by the way, that brother of hers was such a delinquent. That is not true. Oh, and I also had a feeling about the fact that the family was going to die. So Kilgrave's like, is that true? And she's like, no. And it's like, why do you say those things, Dad? Because I want to feel important. And then Jessica has a prime opportunity for that woman to slap herself. However, she doesn't take it and lets the woman go. But Kilgrave doesn't necessarily let her go. But we'll deal with that at the end of the episode. Don't worry about it. So they go inside and they have a really big argument about grapes. Seems like no one in this show is a fan of grapes. I like them, but only like the green ones. I don't really like the purple red ones, which is probably the ones that they're talking about. But she has a very big argument. She actually uses the real word a couple of times. And you really, like, I just love how the show portrays it. Because it is a horrible thing that happens. And then Kilgrave has to one-up her. Because he's like, yeah, but my family was horrible. It's like, oh, boo-hoo. What you did to me, to Hope, and everyone else is so much worse. And Jessica's like, oh, yeah, well, my parents are dead. And Kilgrave's like, well, I wish my parents were dead. And he pulls like a USB, which was actually in that box that Jessica opened up while Reva had to die. That one. Which Kilgrave also is like, I told you to take care of her. You chose to punch her. It's like, oh, come on, dude. Really? You're gonna... Oh, God. It's like someone on Twitter trying to excuse cheating. My goodness. Always playing the victim or putting the blame on someone else. It's literally a Twitter argument. But apparently that USB contains the backstory of Kilgrave. Because in the past... when he was a young boy, because of the fact that his parents were scientists, they were experimenting on their son for some reason. Like, this is just horrible parents, alright? Look, I do not condone what Kilgrave does at all, but you kind of get an understanding as to why. It is still horrible, but you get why. I mean, with parents like that, that kid was never gonna turn out to be a good person, okay? Like, there's no way. The best that this kid could have hoped for was to become Hogarth. And that is still being a horrible person. Because of the fact that he's got these things attached to his head and he has to solve puzzles. And then afterwards they put like a needle in his spine and drain the fluid from that. And that's basically because of all those experiments is how he got his powers. We'll get more of that later on, but no matter how you look at it, this is video evidence of what happened. There's no defense for what is happening here. So Jessica comes to the realization that he had a horrible childhood, and also he was never taught to be good. So at the beginning of the episode and kind of throughout on the TV, you hear the fact that there is a man who is keeping his family hostage. So Jessica comes up with a brilliant idea and they're gonna go for a ride. They'll be gone for about 2 hours. So they go over there and Jessica Jones wants Kilgrave to become a hero. So he says to all the officers, let us pass. And they go inside. However, when the family is safe, he's like, alright, put the gun in your mouth. And Jessica's like, no, tell him to turn himself in. That is the hero thing to do. It's like, okay, fine. So Kilgrave comes home all fantastic and happy. Like, yes, I did it. Oh, this is perfect. Oh, I really like it. So how many of these do I have to do to kind of be back at zero for all the bad stuff that I did? How does the karma thing work? And she's like, that's not how it works. And also, he's like, Jessica, I kind of need you to be there at all times because I genuinely thought that putting a gun in the dude's mouth and having him pull the trigger was the right thing to do. And Jessica Jones has this realization. So she leaves and goes over to Trish and is like, look, what would you do? Which is the kind of thing for the episode, what would Jessica do? But she's like, would you stay with Kilgrave forever and have him be good? Or would you not? And Trish basically gives the answer that yes, she would. So that's fun. So Jessica eventually comes back. Kilgrave basically had the staff staring out the window. And they can't blink at all until Jessica comes back. So Jessica comes back. She's got some food with her. She puts it all on a plate. She tells the staff to come in as well. They want to eat. And then Jessica's like, come on, dude. You can't ingest the stuff that I will. Look, man. The stuff that I used before, you can't eat that, okay? It doesn't work if you get it through your body like that. It needs to be directly in the bloodstream, right? And she eats a little bit of his stuff. It's like, all right, look, it's fine, okay? So the staff falls unconscious. Kilgrave in a shock is like, what is happening? What is this? And then Jessica grabs him and puts a needle in him and grabs him and wants to leave. However, then Simpson tries to stop her because he wants to kill Kilgrave. Understandable, but Jessica needs him. So Jessica eventually just leaves. And then that noisy neighbor from before, I told you we weren't done with her yet. She comes in and is like, are you Simpson? And then Kilgrave told me to give this to you. And then he looks in the back. It's like, it's a bomb. So he jumps away, but he gets hurt pretty badly. He is alive, but he gets hurt pretty badly. And that's the end of the episode. We finally did it. We caught him. So in episode 9, Kilgrave wakes up in a box and Simpson gets taken to a hospital by Trish. And he wants a specific doctor called Kozlov to heal him. Kozlov does fix him, and he gets pills that heal him faster, and I guess also maybe make him stronger. I don't know. But he needs an order in the pills. You take this one first, then this one, then this one, and then you're perfect. So let's see if he can follow those orders or not. So Jessica invites Hogarth over there, the horrible, horrible person. And Hogarth basically says, yeah, the video won't work. You need someone of authority, like a cop or, you know, like a jury, in order to be able to corroborate the story. So Jessica Jones goes to Clemens in order for help, but Clemens is like, nope. And also everything that happened at the police station, we're just gonna pretend that didn't happen, because every cop in that building would have lost their badge if it came out that they were all like that. So Jessica instead decides to go in herself in order to be able to get proof. However, he won't control her. He keeps just talking to her, but he will not control her, so it doesn't work. So it basically just looks like Jessica is beating a powerless person, which technically he actually is. I like how everyone's like, he's powerless, and others are like, no, he's not. It's like, yeah, he is, because he can't control Jessica. She won't find that out until later. So now we need to figure out a new way in order to be able to get him to... So now we need another way in order to basically get the evidence that we need in order to lock Kilgrave up and get Hope out safe. Speaking of Hope, Hogarth got a plea deal for her, and now she only has to accept it. She'll do 20 years, 15 probably for good behavior, and that's it. And Jessica's like, oh no, I have him. Then later on, Hope calls Jessica, and Jessica's like, I have Kilgrave. I will get you out. However, eventually Jessica gets the idea to use the parents of little old Kevin. So she tracks them down eventually. She gets a picture of the mother, at least, and she recognized that woman. So Jessica leaves and goes to one of those meetings for the victims of Kilgrave. And the woman walks in, and Jessica's like, how about you tell your story? Then she leaves, and Malcolm is like, don't harass her, okay? And then Jessica's like, that's the mother of Kilgrave. Alright, so she follows her to her apartment, and then gets both mommy and daddy. Then mommy and daddy are like, yeah, okay, look, we did it in order to save his life, because he would have been brain dead by 12 because he had some kind of disease. That's why we did it. So, you know how they always say you need to listen to both sides of the story? I mean, it doesn't negate anything, okay? They are horrible parents. However, last time, no. However, the talk for the last episode, I took more of Kilgrave's side on purpose, because that's the only side that we got. Right now, yeah, Kilgrave has no excuse. Absolutely no excuse. I mean, yes, terrible parents, but that doesn't excuse anything that Kilgrave did. And also, he was basically tortured in order to save his life, so... But they're both garbage. Anyway, Jessica takes them, also sends a video to Clemens of her beating up Kilgrave, and also tells Hogarth to get there as well. So everyone's now in the same location. Clemens comes in with a gun, ready to arrest everyone, and then Trish pulls a gun on him, and then Jessica cuffs him, and let the show begin. Let's send mommy and daddy inside. So at the beginning, it all seems to be going fine for Kilgrave anyway. You know, I mean, he's not really happy, but he's not using his powers. So it's not necessarily working. But then Mummy pulls out a scissors and stabs her own son. At which point, then he starts to infect her. And when that happens, they need to pull out the parents. However, Clemens didn't see it, so they need another way. It's like, alright, pick up the scissors. That didn't work. Alright, stab yourself. And that worked. Now all we have to do is we need to be like a game show and hit that buzzer. So she hits the buzzer. But the buzzer doesn't work because of a shortcut. So, yeah, this is fun. So the mom stabs herself for every year that she abandoned poor little Kevin. And, you know, it happens when you start stabbing yourself. The other things start to happen too. So, and because of the fact that YouTube is now all sensitive, I can't say the word. So, after mommy is done, daddy has to pick it up and cut out his own heart. Trish also tries to shoot him. However, all she does is shoot the glass and shoot him in the arm. Yes, sure. But she shoots the glass, literally letting him out. So he escapes. He tells the detective to follow him. Jessica goes after So Jessica stops the dad from, cutting out his own heart, and then goes after him. I mean, Hogarth already fled, so she was the first to go. And Jessica grabs Kilgrave, and he's like, "Let go of me, Jessica!" And Jessica doesn't. Finally, she's realizing, because when she killed Reva, she was immune during that time as well, because he said, "Get back here, Jessica," and she didn't, so she's immune. But then Clemens attacks her, Kilgrave escapes, and well, everything is horrible. In episode 10, we got a little bit of a different angle for the escape, because Kilgrave gets into Hogarth's car and escapes, while Trish tries to put a bullet in her head, and then Jessica just like, "Open your mouth. There you go. It's in your head. Don't you worry about that. You are free now." And Kilgrave wants Hogarth to take him to a doctor that she trusts. So she takes him to her ex that she has a big fight with. And basically, Wendy helps Kilgrave out. While we also get another story of how despicable Hogarth is. And the father tells us that Kevin, as he's called, emits a virus. And that's how he's able to control people. Because the thing is, yes, you do everything that he says, but the reason for that is because of the virus that he emits. However, I will still say, if you had headphones on, it could kill him, right? A deaf person could kill him. Anyway, that also reveals that there was a cure that they were working on, but they weren't able to do it. But because Jessica is now revealed to be immune, we can use her blood in order to make a cure. And that Wendy's, not that one, Kilgrave questions Hogarth, and Hogarth basically tells him everything. However, then he's like, "Tell me something I don't know." It's like, "Oh, Hope was pregnant and we helped her get rid of it." Oh, great. And then Hogarth reveals that she kept the body of the dead child, and then tells Wendy to do a death by 1,000 cuts to Hogarth. And Simpson arrives at the place where they kept Kilgrave captive, and then he has an interaction with Clemens, and at one point he wants to give his gun to Clemens. Clemens, "I know, keep it." Then Clemens gives the location of Kilgrave's dad, and then Simmons just shoots him in the head, which, drugs make you insane, people. Don't do drugs, children. They're not good for you. And he burns the place down and heads over there. Meanwhile, while Hogarth is getting the death by 1,000 cuts, Pam comes inside and kills Wendy by accident by hitting her on the head. However, there's a table there as well, so she basically hits her into the table, and yeah, that does it. And yeah, well, that was fun. I feel really bad in this show for Pam. While Pam is absolutely attracted by Jerry's horribleness, she couldn't see. She had rose-tinted glasses, so she couldn't see the actual horribleness, which she sees now, because Pam then gets taken in by the cops, and Hogarth basically goes on how difficult things are to explain, which Pam recognizes as the fact that she's lying. So Pam is like, "You are an actual horrible monster," and wants a different lawyer. And that's the end of Pam for the rest of the show. We will get an explanation on what happened in Jessica Jones Season 2, but we won't be getting there until, I don't know, a while. So Jessica goes home, and she is visited by Kilgrave, who obviously has a plan in place, and Jessica can't kill him because of 1, Hope, and number 2, she's not a bad person. However, Kilgrave then tells her that Hope will be released, but only if he gets his papa. And while they are having an argument, there's the talk about the 18 seconds of freedom that Jessica had, because every 13 hours, Kilgrave needs to come in for a refresh in that sense. However, this time it was past it. For 18 seconds, Kilgrave had no control over her. And the reason that Kilgrave still wants Jessica is because in his twisted mind, he believed that Jessica wanted him during those 18 seconds. So he's been clinging on to that. However, what Jessica wanted was to escape, but she had a vision instead and couldn't escape. Yeah, a horse blocked her escape, which I find funny. But I guess it's because of the fact that she's been under his control for so long that she finally can taste freedom and then has, a fantasy about it. And, it's the mind is an enigma. Also, during this episode, Malcolm helps Robin with the search for the brother of Robin. And, well, that all comes to an end this episode as well, because we go back to the victims group and Malcolm is talking, and the victims group kind of starts to go against the victims group in that sense, and then he tells a story and Robin learns finally that her brother is dead, and then she basically riles everyone up and goes after Jessica Jones. So Malcolm gets there first, tells Jessica yeah, that she needs to run or something. I forgot what he says. And then basically the group starts to attack Jessica. And if you're wondering why she just doesn't punch everyone, it's because she doesn't want to hurt anyone. However, Robin then finds a tied up Kilgrave because of the fact that, well, Jessica kind of knocked him out. So that Hope can be free without Kilgrave, without honoring the deal to Kilgrave. However, Robin doesn't know who Kilgrave is, so she frees him, and then he controls everyone and escapes. Then Jessica wakes up because of the fact that Hope called and rushes to the prison, and Hope's gone. All hope is lost. And then a cop comes in and is like, yo, you need to go to where you had your date with Kilgrave. Have fun. Meanwhile, Simpson arrives at Trish's place and he completely loses it. Once again, don't do drugs, kids. So Jessica goes to the place and brings the dad, and the vaccine doesn't really work, sadly enough. So everything goes horribly wrong the moment that Hope stabs herself in the neck. That makes everything go horribly wrong. Everyone jumps, and because of that, Kilgrave and Papa escape. So she frees everyone, tries to save Hope, which we don't really get an answer to here. And that's basically the end of the episode with her holding Hope. So in episode 11, young Trish isn't happy that Jessica is gonna live with her after Jessica's parents died in a car crash. However, I'm just gonna talk about the backstory with this whole thing so that I don't have to anymore. However, living with Trish isn't as grand as it seems because of the fact that her mother, while initially seeming like an angel, is actually a horrible person. Because she abuses her own daughter. Because you need to look perfect for the camera in order to make me money kind of thing, you know. And also Jessica learns that she has super strength in the bathroom by just breaking something, which I don't know the name of, but she breaks something and then lifts it over her head. At that point, we also have Trish who learns that, but they both agree to stay out of each other's way and keep it a secret. However, when Trish is being hung above a toilet by her mother for puking because she ate a slice of pizza, Jessica feels the need to step in and save her. And I guess from that point onwards, an unbreakable bond between the two of them has been formed. Back in present day, Hope is officially dead. And everyone gets questioned by the cops, and they all have agreed to lie to the cops, basically say the same story in order to get out of there as fast as possible. Because Jessica is, at this point, she is done. She ain't gonna try no more. Kilgrave is gonna die. However, they're also expecting the fact that Kilgrave's papa is dead. So Jessica gets a notification about a dead body, and she goes to the morgue, and then Trish has to promise a meal for the guy at the restaurant of his choice, and then they can see the body. Turns out it was the wrong body. And basically throughout the evening, Jessica goes from morgue to sift through the bodies to see if Papa is in there. Kilgrave's Papa. But doesn't turn out to be correct. The last morgue that she checks, which is later on in the episode, she actually learns that Clemens is dead, R.I.P. the boy. And she thinks that Kilgrave did it, but it was actually Simpson. However, as she is too tired, she basically passes out and then wakes up and sees a guy with a purple jacket, so she follows him and then gets hit by a truck. So she got a couple of broken ribs in this episode, and that is the entire reason why there are things that happen in this episode that normally wouldn't have happened. Meanwhile, Simpson is still trying to get Trish back, and he shows up at her apartment. However, then a couple of Kozlov's boys show up in order to get Simpson back, and Simpson doesn't want to go. And the weird part is, he takes 2 pills and then shoots them dead. And I'm like, did you need to take the pills in order to shoot them dead? What is wrong with you? However, because of the fact that he did that, Trish kinda doesn't really want to have anything to do with him anymore. And, well, then we get to the problem of the fact that Simpson locks her up, takes her phone, calls Jessica, and sets up a meeting because he pretends to know where Kilgrave is. However, he wants to kill Jessica for some reason. Which actually, like, he shows up at her place, and he is holding, like, a silence gun. But he can't use it because neighbors come out of the room and are walking to the elevator, and they aren't fast enough. So they start talking a bit, and Jessica notices something is up, so she kind of throws her bait into the ocean in order to see if she can get a bite. And she does, because she basically starts talking about Clemens, how he's dead, how the fact that he was burned to death but actually shot to death, and also the fact that it was police issue, but she's not supposed to know that. And yeah, okay, Simmons did it. I like how she questions him and gets the answer. However, then Simpson and Jessica start to fight, and this is what I mean, where it's like the broken ribs are the reason why things happen the way that they happen, and that is because Simpson is on equal footing with her. because she's got a couple of broken ribs. She can't really fight as well. So he starts beating her, and he's ready to just kill her for some reason. Don't know why. What did she do? Who knows? I mean, I guess it's because of the fact that she has continuously stood in his way from killing Kilgrave. He also confesses that the reason that he killed Clemens is because Clemens wanted to put Kilgrave in jail. Oh, the horror. However, when he has Jessica in a chokehold, then Trish comes in with a fire extinguisher, hits him in the head, and then Jessica and Trish go into the bathroom and they hide. However, Trish has a couple of pills with her that she stole earlier from him. So she takes them, and Simpson warns her because she needs a blue one and throws it out the window. Because if she doesn't take a blue one, her body will forget to breathe. So she fights Simpson, and Jessica and Trish together take out Simpson, and then Trish stops to breathe. So a hospital visit is in order. So an ambulance comes, they take her away, and Jessica's like, yeah, the thing that happened was that it's something about adrenaline, it's some kind of drug, and she's like, are you sure? And then gets her to be okay again. So that's great. Jessica's waiting in the hospital. However, then Jessica gets a text message from you-know-who. And in the text, it's basically like, hey, if you want to save your boyfriend, you should probably hurry because of the fact that I got to him. Have fun. So she heads over to the bar. The bar explodes. Luke Cage comes out burning because obviously his skin cannot be touched by anything. And then she puts him out, and that's basically how the episode ends. So next episode, we got some more Luke Cage action. So in episode 12, we start off with running away from the exploding building, and then Luke Cage getting a bit of a flashback where he tried to kill Kilgrave, but Kilgrave stopped him and asked him what he was doing there, and he was like, I'm here to kill you. It's like, what? No, get in. Did Jessica make you do it? No. Who are you to Jessica? We were lovers, and it was pretty serious. It's like, are you the reason why I don't have a shot with Jessica? No. You ruined that yourself. It's like, well, I don't have a response to that. I like that interaction. I wrote that interaction down. But, and Luke Cage then got controlled by Kilgrave. Kilgrave wanted him to blow up his bar, but only with Jessica present. Which means if Jessica never went to the bar, he wouldn't have blown it up. Simple as that. But Luke Cage also needs to get out of there because cops are there. And now you might be like, oh yeah, black man afraid of cops. No, no, no. It is something even more different than that. And you'll find that one out in the Luke Cage series. We'll get there eventually. But that's where the answers lie. And now Luke Cage is gonna help Jessica kill Kilgrave. Also, Kilgrave wants to become stronger so that he can control Jessica again. Because let's be honest here, the dude is still sickeningly in love. I was gonna say madly, but no, he's sick in the head. But he's absolutely still wants Jessica. And if he can't have her willingly, he will have her unwillingly, I guess. Meanwhile, Trish's mom visits her in the hospital. And yeah, that doesn't really go well because Trish doesn't want to have anything to do with her mother anymore. Meanwhile, back with Jessica. Jessica figures that Albert is the key to finding him. Because I guess through the backstory, Luke Cage also kind of revealed that Papa was alive. So that is the best way to do it. And Jessica also figures out that he's gonna use his dad in order to become stronger. So, which is true. Also, Malcolm wants to leave. He doesn't leave. And, alright, this part is a bit weird. I even forgot if it happened in last episode and this episode. But, like, Robin tells him, like, that all hope is lost, basically. And he's like, if hope is lost, then I don't want to live anymore. And she's like, yeah, there's still a noose in the trash can. Which is like, what did you... Okay. Anyway, so Malcolm basically gives up. He is done with everything, packs his bags, is ready to leave. Then Robin has a breakdown upstairs, so Malcolm goes upstairs, breaks up the fight between the post office woman and Robin, and then eventually takes Robin to the grave. And then Robin forgives Malcolm, and he's like, does everyone deserve forgiveness? And she's like, no, only the ones that we care about. So basically, Malcolm is not really a horrible person in the story. It's Kilgrave. At least that's the way I see it. So Luke and Jessica go back to the apartment where Albert was found. They find a drug. Then they go from drug place to drug place in order to figure out which one is the right one. They eventually find it. So now they're just waiting for Kilgrave. And then Luke Cage's like, I forgive you for everything that happened. Okay, I forgive you. And I'll say it as many times as I could. Yeah, no. So eventually another person comes in to pick up the stuff. Because obviously Kilgrave is careful like that. And Jessica follows him into the park because obviously Luke Cage needs to stay behind. Luke Cage is in a sense there, I guess you could say, for backup. However, she kind of loses him, and then the dude eats a pair of gigantic scissors. Meanwhile, Trish's mom visits Trish again, and she heard talk about IGH, which was actually about Simpson. However, that also has something to do with Jessica, because the people who flipped the bill for Jessica's recovery were IGH. But we will not find out anything about that until next season. But it is nice to bring that up. Anyway, Jessica and Luke Cage go back to her apartment because the chemical trail didn't really work out. So they go back home. Trish wants to talk to her about it, but then sees Luke Cage, so she kind of dismisses it. Luke Cage takes a shower, and after he comes out of the shower, he's like, you know, when I first got these powers, I went to test them out. And then Jessica's like, yeah, but I already searched for that. And then Luke Cage's like, yeah, but people wouldn't believe that, would they? So they search for, like, Magic X or something like that, and eventually find a place. So they head over there to the club where he was testing his powers. However, when they get there, all the security footage has been erased, and then Kilgrave is on the mic, and he still can't control Jessica, sadly enough. However, surprise, surprise, he was still in control of Luke Cage, baby. So Luke Cage and Jessica Jones have a fight, and I do like this fight. It's not as good as like a Daredevil fight, but what is, let's be honest here. But they fight, and eventually two cops show up, and that also doesn't help. So they continue to fight until Jessica shoots him in the face with a shotgun. That's how the episode ends. On to the finale, baby. We've made it to the finale, boys. So in this episode, Jessica takes Luke Cage to the hospital after shooting her with a shotgun. And the doctor's needles don't work because the skin can't be penetrated. So, hello, Claire Temple. Nice to see you in this show as well. I think I called you the Phil Coulson of the Defenders era in the Daredevil review. Well, she is. But she then helps Jessica get Luke Cage out of there because the cops shouldn't really see Luke Cage. And also, Jessica's like, we are your first. No, you're not my first. Which is a reference to Daredevil. And later on, there's another Daredevil reference, which I also like. So, before they leave the hospital, Jessica gets a call from Kilgrave, who is in the hospital. So Jessica goes to search for him while Claire takes Luke home. To her home. So Kilgrave escapes the hospital when she's searching for him, and he then has the whole hospital staff basically attack Jessica Jones. So that's fun. However, on the way out, she gets cut. She gets a cut in her leg by one of the staff members. Meanwhile, Claire takes Luke home. However, he then starts to spaz out, and she gets on top of him in order to stop it. And then, you know, it's a bit awkward when Jessica walks in. However, Claire immediately is like, help me, hold his head still, alright? I need to go into him through his eye because I can't really penetrate his skin, so I need to kind of go under that thing, which apparently works. So she puts a needle in there, takes some stuff out, and there you go, Luke is saved. And then afterwards, she takes care of Jessica's leg and also says, look, I know someone who might be able to help, which is Matthew, baby. Look, Daredevil's my second favorite Marvel character, so any reference we get for him, I am a big fan. But she's like, no, because I don't want other people to be controlled by Kilgrave. So she then looks at Luke's phone and then looks at who called him and then uses that in order to track Kilgrave down. However, Kilgrave isn't really happy about the fact that he still can't control Jessica. So he tells his dad to give him everything that they have. And, yeah, he turns a wee bit purple, so he's getting there. However, to be honest, I think that a name like Kilgrave is much better than Purple Man. But he does get like purple veins. He gets it later on in the episode as well. So I do like how when he fully uses his powers, he starts to turn a bit more purple. I do like that. Nice comic book reference. Modern day Marvel wouldn't do such a thing. So Jessica lays down next to Luke. And she's like, you know, I was thinking about us going on a real date. You know, maybe bowling. And since Liberty City is based on New York, why don't you just give Roman a call? If you know, you know. Anyway, Jessica then decides to leave. Claire stays with Luke, and Jessica goes after Kilgrave. So she arrives at the apartment where he has been staying, and the dad has been disarmed twice because of the fact that, well, Kilgrave apparently ordered someone to make sure that his dad disappears off the face of the earth. So apparently a food dispenser is the best place to do that. But Jessica also had the help from Trish, but she told her to stay outside in case he's there. Now calls her in, and then they kind of explore the apartment. She gives Hogarth a call. Of course, why wouldn't you give that evil witch a call? And we learn that in order to become stronger, Kilgrave used his own dead baby that Hope got rid of. I can't say the actual word because YouTube is kind of iffy on that one, especially nowadays. So that is sick and twisted, and I really hate Hogarth. Absolutely. Like, really? You kept that thing in order to use it? Disgusting. But they do find a picture of a boat. So now they know where to go. And we go for a final showdown at night at the docks. So we have someone in Jessica clothing, listening to music, walking in there. Now, if you look closely at her face, it ain't Jessica, it's Trish. And that's why the music is playing so loud. Which, this episode fully confirms my suspicion. If only someone was having earplugs, this whole show wouldn't have needed to happen. If you really think about it, all you would need in every situation is earplugs. And Jessica could have just killed Kilgrave at any point in time. Come on, dude. I was right about that. I'm gonna say that in my review too. However, the sneak patsy thing doesn't really work. So all the cops start shooting at Jessica, and then she waits until the ammo is gone, and then she jumps over them and chases after Kilgrave. And then Kilgrave has a lot of people at the docks who then decide to, who he then commands to kill each other. So that's fun. Kind of just another distraction. And then he tells everyone to stop, and when he says stop, his veins turn purple. So there you go. And then Jessica fakes him out so good. Like, Kilgrave goes for Patsy eventually, has Patsy kiss him, and that is like, Jessica still doesn't do anything. No way. And then Kilgrave is like, I gotcha. I finally have you. He walks over to her, and then she picks him up, breaks his neck, and every Superman fan is crying. And that's it. Kilgrave is dead. And I love how committed they both were to this whole bit. However, it would have all fallen apart if Kilgrave was smart. If he controlled Patsy and asked her, is she really under my control or is she faking it? Patsy would have been like, she's faking. And there you go, it would have fallen apart. I mean, obviously that wasn't part of the plan, but that's because her headphones got knocked off in the scuffle. So Kilgrave is dead, Jessica Jones then gets put in prison, and Luke Cage wakes up and he disappears into season 1 of his own show. See you then, buddy. See you at the end of 2015. Don't you worry about that one. We will be following you right after we are done with the second season of Daredevil. Don't you worry about that one. And we also, speaking of Daredevil season 2, we get to see Samantha in this show, who will become a more important character in Daredevil season 2. But it was nice to see her. However, Hogarth is able to talk her way out of Jessica Jones getting free, because she's like, yeah, okay, but what about all the cops that shot at her and also everything else? Why don't you just let her go, huh? Right? I mean, the dude had mind control. I know you're not gonna believe it, but he had mind control. It is better to let her walk than have everything else fall apart. So Jessica walks free, and she basically goes back to PI work and also maybe a bit of hero work. And Trish gets all the files from her mom. So see you in season 2. And that is the Jessica Jones Season 1 spoiler talk. And I will say this, I love this season. I don't think it's as good as Daredevil Season 1. I think that this season is better. However, this season is still really good. It is probably the second best season or third best. No, it is the third best season that the Netflix shows have had. Out of all of it. The best season, it's all downhill from here. Let's be honest here with Jessica Jones, because the next 2 seasons are not in the same ballpark as this season. Not saying that they're bad, just not in this ballpark. But overall, I really love this season. So, let me know your thoughts down below of season 1 of Jessica Jones. Did you love it? Did you not? Comment it down below. And with that being said, thank you all so very much for watching, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. And if you did, please like button, subscribe if you're new, if not done so already. Turn on notifications, and don't forget to check out my Let's Play channel, link in the description and at the end of the video. And I'll see you guys, which I can actually say this now because I have now officially decided to do everything. I will see you guys next time, because we're going back to the movies, baby, for Avengers Age of Ultron. Bye!